What's up, everyone? Good evening. I'm grateful to see everybody here. So, welcome to Clear Start Mondays. I am John Heyman of a mental performance coach. Oh my goodness! And tonight I am your host. If you've been here before, you know how this works. If this is your first time, here's the format. We ground your nervous system. We write through a few honest questions together, and you're going to leave with something real that you can carry into your week. You're not going to be put on the spot. You don't have to share anything out loud. You just need to write and have a willingness to be honest and open with yourself just for a few minutes. Last week we connected with something important, that quiet, steady part of us that lives underneath all that noise that comes in from the outside world, the part of you that already knows what matters. And some of you felt it for the very first time, and that's awesome. Thank you for reaching out to me. Some of you recognized it like seeing an old friend, and that's cool too. Tonight we're going to build on that. We're going to talk about something that most of us do 100 times a day without realizing it. Something that keeps us from living as that quiet, steady version of ourselves. Judgment. Not the kind where we're evaluating a decision, because that's useful, right? I'm talking about the automatic kind. The kind that fires so fast you don't even know what happened. Toward yourself, toward other people, toward situations you haven't even fully looked at. And we're going to put it next to something that looks similar but feels completely different. And that's called discernment. So we're going to talk about this tonight, the difference between judgment and discernment. We're going to learn to we're going to learn to see the difference, because once we see it, it's going to unlock a whole different set of how you problem solve, and I'm excited for this. So, it's time for our meditation, to our grounding practice here. So, I did adjust this just a little bit, so let's see how it goes. Are you ready, my friends? I am. See you on the other side. Ooh. Where are we here? Let's do that. Let's begin our sensation grounding practice. I want to invite you to sit up straight and keep your head facing forward, with your shoulders back and chest open. Place your feet flat on the floor. I want to invite you to get comfy and close your eyes. Let the sounds you are hearing arrive in your ears. Notice your feet on the ground. Bring your awareness to all of the physical contact points your feet have in this moment. Take 3 breaths that are deeper than normal, and gently begin to let your thoughts go while staying focused on the tones you hear. I want to invite you to begin to notice the different textures of the tone that is playing in the background. Does the tone feel hot or cold? What color does the tone sound like to you? We are just listening with curious intent to the sounds, while gently letting our thoughts pass us by. Notice the new sound. Place your full focused attention on this new sound. Notice how warm it is. Notice how reassuring this new sound is. Are you holding on to any physical tension or stress right now? Visualize the air you've taken in flowing into any tension spots you may have in your body. Take a breath for a count of 4 and hold it at the top for a count of 7. As you exhale this breath, breathe out of your mouth for a count of 8. During this exhale, imagine your physical tension is leaving your body with your breath. Notice the temperature of the air as it escapes your lips. Bring your focused awareness to your breath. Do this as many times as you need. With your eyes closed, imagine you are a cat and your thoughts are like a mouse coming out of a mouse hole. Have you ever tried to catch a thought? Can you catch the next one? When you catch one, imagine just noticing it. We give this thought no other energy than to notice it. We are just a cat, pawing at thoughts coming out of the mouse hole. Begin to realize that you are the presence behind the thoughts. Do you need to chase the mouse? Just breathe. In for 4. Hold for 7. Out of your mouth for 8. Just breathe. In for 4. Hold for 7. Out of your mouth for 8. Do you need to change? gently let your thoughts go. Notice a sense of overwhelming calm and peace has begun to envelop you. You are welcome to open your eyes and return to the room. Oh my goodness, that was fantastic. So here's the simplest way I can put this. Judgment is fast. It's automatic. Something happens, and before you've taken a breath, the noise has already told you what it means. And what it means about you, what it means about someone else, about the whole situation. Someone says something at dinner, and judgment says they meant it as a dig. You take it personally. Your kid doesn't respond to a text, and judgment says that they don't care. You're taking their lack of responding personally. You look in the mirror on a hard morning, and judgment says, yeah, I should probably look like this. You're just attacking yourself. Judgment doesn't ask questions. It doesn't wonder. It makes declarations, and it makes them so fast that they feel like the truth. Discernment, on the other hand, looks at the same exact moment and does something different. It pauses. Not for a long time, but just long enough to actually see what's in front of it before deciding what that means. Discernment is the quiet part of you that we talked about last week. It's that steady voice that doesn't need to react instantly. It observes. It considers. And when it responds from something honest instead of autopilot. Here's the tricky part, though. Judgment feels like wisdom. It feels like you're being sharp, like you're perceptive, like you're witty, like you've got people figured out, yourself figured out, you've got situations figured out. And for a good majority of you, you may have. But most of the time, it's actually not just wisdom. It's just speed. And speed isn't the same thing as seeing clearly. You're just repeating your automatic processes and assuming. So tonight we're going to look at where judgment has been running your life and what it would feel like to let discernment take the wheel instead. So I'm grateful for all of you. Go ahead and grab something to write with. It's the same rules as always. We're not going for the right answer. We're going for the honest answer. Question 1. I want you to think about where judgment has been running on autopilot in your life. And I don't mean the big dramatic judgments. I'm talking about the little ones, the quiet ones, the ones that happen so fast you don't even register them anymore. Think about what I'm talking about. Think about how you talk to yourself when you fall short of something, when you forget something, when you don't show up how you want to, when you look at where you are compared to where you thought you'd be. Maybe that's not a good place for you, and that voice is saying something about that. That's judgment. And it's been on repeat so long it feels like a fact. You've just been beating the hell out of yourself. Think about someone in your life that you decided about. Let's shift gears here. Let's think about somebody else. You know how they are. You know what they think. You know what they meant by that thing that they said last week. But did you actually ask? Or did that noise that we've been talking about, did that fill it in for you? Think about a situation at work or at home or with your health or with your future. Something is already being labeled right now as, I know what that is. I know how this is going to go. I know how that's going to happen. Every person listening to me right now has that in their life. You are assuming and predicting and judging that you're not going to understand the outcome, right? So think about a situation that you've already labeled at work, at home with your health, or with your future. Something that you filed away under, I already know what this is, and you stopped looking at it. Pick one. It can be about yourself. someone else, or a circumstance. What did you decide? And when did you actually stop looking? 3 minutes, my friends, 3 minutes. Pick one of these circumstances. How you talk to yourself, someone in your life that you think that you've labeled properly, or a situation in your life that you've already labeled. Pick one of those. It can be about yourself, someone else, or a circumstance. But what judgment have you placed on this person? And when did you stop looking to see if there was more to the story? Just about a minute to go here, everyone. Hopefully, one of these circumstances, whether it's yourself or someone else or something in your circumstances inside your life, resonated for you here and you were able to get something down. What did you decide? And when did you stop looking to see if there was more? Awesome. So, question 2. Look at what you wrote down. That judgment you've been carrying, maybe for a week, maybe for years. I want to be clear about something. I'm not asking you to decide it was wrong. Maybe your read on the situation is accurate. Maybe that person really is that way. Maybe that thing about yourself is true. That's not what this is about. This is about whether you actually looked or whether the noise just decided for you and you went along with it because it was fast and it felt certain. Discernment doesn't always reach a different conclusion than judgment, but it reaches its conclusion honestly with its eyes open. As I say with my eyes closed, after it's actually seen what's in front of it. So take that judgment you wrote about and sit with it differently for just a minute. What would it look like to approach that same thing that you wrote about in question 1 with discernment? Not to flip your opinion, just to look again, without predicting or assuming or judging. Some questions to think about. What question haven't you asked? What part of this might have you skipped over because you assumed? If it's about yourself, what would the compassionate version of you see that judgment missed? If it's about someone else, What might be going on with them that the noise didn't bother to wonder about? If it's a situation, what might still be open in that moment that judgment has already closed the door on? Write down what discernment sees. Take your time with it. 3 minutes, my friends. What would it look like to approach what you wrote for question 1 with discernment? Just take another look at it. Give yourself the gift of perspective. Try it without assuming, without predicting or judging. What question haven't you asked in this situation? What part of this may you have skipped over because you assumed the outcome? If you're talking about yourself, what would the compassionate version of you see that judgment has missed? If it's about someone else, what might be going on with them that the noise didn't bother to wonder about? If it's about a situation, what might still be open that judgment already closed the door on? Write it down. Fantastic. So, question 3. Look ahead for this week, the next 7 days. Judgment is going to fire. It's going to fire the second you get out of here. It's probably going to fire tomorrow morning, probably before lunch. It's going to be fast. It's going to feel true. And if you're not watching for it, it'll make the decision for you before you even know there is a decision to make. That's how fast your internal judge is responding. Your job isn't to stop the judgment. You can't, because it's automatic. It's part of our process. It's been running your whole life. It's something our mind does. Your job, though, is to catch it. And in the moment you catch it, you have a choice. You can let it run, or you can pause, look at it, and let discernment have its moment. You know where this is going to happen. Think just for a second. You've been talking about this. You feel it somewhere. You know the person, the situation, the person who is your mirror that you're going to hit and be like, oh, you've been there before. Name it. Be specific. Think. When judgment fires in that moment, what does discernment look like for you? Is it a breath before you respond? Or is it a question you ask instead of a conclusion you jump to? Is it giving yourself or someone else 5 more seconds of honest attention before that noise locks in? Name the moment, name the choice, write it down like a plan. And when that noise fires fast, come back to our anchor phrase. The biggest change is now. Right there, in that pause between judgment and discernment, that's the moment where you get to choose who you want to be. 3 minutes, my friends. Who would you like to be? Think about this upcoming week. Your judgment isn't going to stop. This pattern has been running your whole life, and it's okay. It's part of the human process. But your judge isn't always telling the truth. Your job isn't to stop this judge, though. You can't. Just catch it. And when you catch it, you have a choice. So think about the situation this week where you know it's going to happen. The person, the moment. You know how it feels. Be specific, name it. And then just ask yourself, what would this moment look like if it was led from discernment? Taking a breath before you respond. Asking a question instead of assuming and jumping to conclusions. Giving yourself 5 more seconds of honest empathy. Write it down. The biggest change is now, and you have a choice. All right. Fantastic. Fantastic. So here's what I want to name before we close this week. Judgment feels like clarity because it's fast, because you've been doing it for a very long time. And some people do it automatically and so fiercely, and they're very harsh, and it's hard to deal with. But it shows up with an answer before the person has even literally finished thinking about the question. And that speed feels like power. It feels like thinking clearly, but it's literally not. It's just speed. You're just reacting. You're not actually responding because discernment is slower, and that's why it works. Discernment is being willing to sit with something for a moment before deciding what it means. It's willing to say that I might not have the full picture. It's being willing to admit that you can be wrong. Show of hands, how many people here can do that? I've been working on it for years, so I can do that. How about you? But that's not weakness, though. That's the strongest thing you can do because it means you're choosing honesty over comfort. You're choosing to actually see what's in front of you instead of letting the noise narrate it for you. Every time you catch judgment and choose to look again, you're giving that quiet part of you, that sage that's hiding in here, that beautiful, beautiful, curious, childlike self of you, a little more trust and a little more space to exist. The best part of you is still in there. And that's a practice. It's not a one time thing. It's going to be something that you need to do again tomorrow and the day after, one moment at a time, 1% better each day. Our anchor phrase is still the biggest changes now, because that moment, the biggest changes now, resonates for every moment of our lives. You just got to live in it, right? Last week, it was about trusting the quiet part of us when the noise gets loud. And this week, it lives in a very specific moment, because we're talking about the gap between judgment firing and what you do next. And that half second is where you could react automatically, like you have been, like you know what it feels like. We talked about that. Or you could pause and actually look. Most people don't even know that gap exists, because the judge fires so fast, it feels like there's no space between the trigger and response, but there is. There's always a gap. And the more you practice catching it, the wider it gets. It's really cool to behold when you start noticing it. I had a blast doing it myself. But the biggest change is now, in the pause, in the breath, in the moment where you choose to look again instead of letting judgment decide. This week, every time you feel that judgment fire super fast, just let those 5 words slow you down. The biggest change is now. Take that breath and say, what would discernment say here? See what's actually there. Let the quiet part of you weigh in before that noise is closing the case with judgment. Tonight, you did something that takes real courage. You looked at the judgments that you've been carrying about yourself, about the people in your life, and about situations you thought you already understood, and that's okay. You're here now. You've went through it. You've got a clearer picture, and you asked yourself whether you actually saw what was there, or whether the noise just told you what to think and you went along with it. And that's okay. It's not easy. Most people never look at things like this. You also imagine what discernment looks like in the same spaces, and what it feels like to approach yourself, other people, and your circumstances with honest eyes instead of automatic eyes. That's worth celebrating. You made a plan, a specific moment this week where you're going to choose to look again instead of letting the noise lock it in. That is everything. That is the practice. Clear Start Mondays is here every Monday at 6. Same room, same format, and we're going to cover new ground every week. If something opened up for you tonight, the Saboteur Assessment at rvscoaching.com/saboteur will show you exactly which patterns have been driving the automatic judgments in your life. It's free. It takes about 5 minutes, and then you connect with me, and I'll walk you through a debrief of your results. Or you can reach out directly at john@rvscoaching.com. I believe in you, and I will see you next Monday. Be well.